welcome back to Just Another Football Podcast. It's the big festive period episode reviewing the big festive period fixtures after a big gap in time where we've not met, we've not talked at all, we've not even said Happy New Year to each other. All of us were kind of celebrating with family and stuff. I was on the other side of the ocean and then past the Mediterranean. I was in Saudi Arabia. You can see clearly in my puffy eyes. I'm just back last night after 27 hours of travel. It's quite brutal. A really eventful 7 days. But we're back. We're back at it. George and Harry, how are you guys?
Very well, mate. Good intro there, considering you've not done one for a while. It's quite a mouthful.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, professional job as always.
Yeah. George, how's it going?
Yeah, really well. As always, good new year. Ready to get back into podcasting.
Great. Fergal said he's going to be here in 20 minutes. So hopefully he is. Any talk of Chelsea will probably going to have to be parked until he's there. Hopefully.
Yeah, he's not getting out of it. He's not avoiding it.
10th place Chelsea, of course, after 17 games. There's Brentford are above them with a point more.
All right, we can get into this, don't we?
Yeah. We'll get into it.
We'll build up to it. You're trying to distract from our starting topic here, I believe. I can see what you're trying to do here.
I kind of am, Harry. I kind of am.
Because you're not really in any sort of position for any sort of Schadenfreude. I think I'm the only one on this podcast that technically at this moment in time is in the position to be laughing at other clubs. Yeah. And it's a very fickle position. It can easily change. So I'm not going to do too much of it.
Hey, but in our worst season in 7 years, we're still above Chelsea by 3 points with the same number of games played. All right. So I'm still a little bit in terms of Chelsea. I'm still just about. And also towards Everton because, my God, they're awful. But anyways,
they're not great.
Anyways, it like maybe 10 minutes ago, full-time whistle went at Anfield. And the 19th placed in the Premier League table currently, Wolverhampton Wanderers have drawn 2-2 against 6th placed Liverpool.
In the FA Cup. We should stress that we're recording after the
FA Cup game. Yep.
Third round in the FA Cup.
Yep. It is after the FA Cup game. There will be a replay that we'll probably lose in the Molineux. I mean, just about every single player was off form. Except Alisson.
A pretty strong team as well. It's a pretty strong team.
We placed. I think we played with probably the strongest team we could have, with the absence of Virgil van Dijk for a month, starting last week. I think
that's a month at best, from what I've heard as well. That's sort of like an optimistic prognosis.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool injuries tend to last shorter than we expect. Except the massive Oxlade-Chamberlain injury in 2018, but other than that, they've been pretty short, like most times. But anyways, just about every single player was off form, except Alisson, and then Alisson gives them a goal.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't know what to say anymore. Like I feel like everything I can say is kind of repetitive, but Cody Gakpo had a debut to forget as well. And I don't know, morale is low. Morale is low.
We've not spoken just because you've mentioned him. I suppose it's sort of worth quickly going over the signing of Cody Gakpo because he's obviously not recorded since then. This is sort of by no means. Yeah, exactly. I mean, God, you've not missed much.
Oh, yeah.
This is sort of by no means a slight on him as a player. I think obviously he's had a good World Cup and he's been doing well in the Dutch league. But I sort of look at him and think, like, was he what Liverpool needed now? And I know they've got attackers injured, don't get me wrong, and you can always do with more good players.
Yeah.
But when I've looked at Liverpool this season, and you know, you look at the problems associated with the way they're playing, the results they're getting, I wouldn't have necessarily said that they're not scoring enough goals and not making enough chances. It's kind of other areas of the team. And then I sort of even look at the sort of profile of player that he is. And he's a good player and he's a good finisher and I think he'll get goals. But I struggle to kind of see where he fits in if everyone's fit and available. I'm not quite sure if he even plays in the best 11. And I know the idea is maybe to have some depth, but maybe the counter to that is that Liverpool have holes in their team at the moment. And I think that's been one of the things that I would sort of note from from the return for the World Cup and the 3 games they played in the league and then the FA Cup game tonight, is it's just been a continuation of what we saw before the World Cup. I think that was the thing I sort of thought. They were clearly pre-World Cup, they had injuries, they were kind of running on empty, but it was just about churning out results, which they kind of managed to do, even, against Spurs, against Southampton. Not playing great, but just get the 3 points, get through, and then kind of get everyone together that's not going, and just try and get more organised, get more difficult to play against, more difficult to create chances against, because that's been the big thing this season is they're so easy to create against. There was a statistic going around the other day. Liverpool conceded 51 clear-cut chances this season, which is third to only 2 teams in Fulham and Leeds in the top flight. And just to sort of give this a means for comparison, Arsenal conceded 19, Man City have conceded 21, I think Newcastle 22. All the other teams in the top 5-6 places have conceded nearly a third of the chances Liverpool have. And so that's been the problem with me for the 3 games, even though they got 6 points. It's the same thing. They're so easy to create chances against at this moment in time, and that's the biggest issue.
Yeah.
On Gakpo. Oh, sorry, George. You go ahead, and then I'll kind of.
Yeah. On that, I have to agree pretty with everything sort of Harry said in terms of weaknesses within the team. You'd look at areas like the midfield rather than sort of attacking midfield and striking positions as an area not just to improve upon in the first 11, but also in terms of older players, Thiago, Henderson, Milner, looking for the future. That's where Liverpool want to be investing. And it's just odd that they've invested in another player like Gakpo when they've got Nunez, when they've got Diaz. They've got younger players in the forward line. Even arguably Elliott could push forward in his more natural positions as sort of a winger and a forward player. It's a good signing. It's just an odd one in that sense. And then on top of that, what I would say about Liverpool is actually, to be honest, I don't know if signing helps their defence. I'd say their style of play just lends itself to being exposed behind in the fullbacks, and I think Klopp sort of doubled down on that recently. And my theory would be actually the Premier League's got a lot better. A lot more pragmatic, and I think people are exposing Liverpool for a weakness that they've had for probably the whole time that Klopp's been in charge, and it's been very effective, and it still will be effective because that front forward-thinking play is clearly good. But we're seeing the counter to it. Every system has sort of a weakness, and I think that's Klopp's weakness at the moment, and I don't know if personnel changes that rather than changes in tactics.
You're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not one signing will change a lot of like the fact that Alisson now has 78 Premier League saves, and in our title winning season 1920 he had 80 in total.
Yeah,
that's absurd. Shots on target against 78 now, 99 the whole of last season. We're midway through the season. And
not even.
It's definitely a systemic problem rather than something that one signing or 2 signings or 3 signings will fix. We're just not playing in a way that fits the current personnel. The midfield does not run, and our pressing system relies on running. We do not run. Chance creation wise, it's all right. It's not as sharp as last season's would have been because Sadio Mane was in the squad. It's massive loss. Massive loss. Whether he was on the right or in the middle, one thing we're missing is someone that will hold up the ball and keep us possession when he is pressed. And what we've replaced Mane with is, first of all, Darwin Nunez. His first touch is not good enough yet. There are so many examples of this today where he's just like knees, it comes off his knee, and then he chases it out, and it takes another touch, and it kind of skips away for a throw-in. Or Cody Gakpo. Now, Gakpo is a narrower type of left wing. I feel like he was wider today than he ideally should be. In the World Cup, he was quite central, and it was really special. For a little bit at the start of the World Cup, we were wondering, is that his breakthrough kind of tournament? Is like the James Rodriguez of 2014 potential here until they went out in the quarterfinal, of course. My theory with the Gakpo signing was it was going to change a little bit how we play in order to improve chance creation in, first of all, in the short term, try to outscore our problems, and on the longer term, evolve naturally. So you'd have, like, Darwin Núñez tries to go off the left a bit, so maybe it's something where Núñez goes left, Gakpo goes middle, and we kind of have interchanges. So and something works that way. Like that's just an evolution of the system, and we'll see. But what happened today, and obviously this is Gakpo's first game, so who knows? But Núñez would go right wing next to Salah. So in the first 40 minutes, I checked the average positions because Núñez would just go right all the time, and the average position was like they were the Salah circle and the Núñez circle were over on top of each other, and Gakpo was so far left, nearly hugging the touchline. So maybe this is half of the implementation. I don't know. My theory when he signed was we are going to sign him, and then we're going to sign a midfielder. Then Klopp for our last Premier League game. Oh, what's the obsession with another signing? Come on, man. You've clearly not. You clearly can't. This is strange. It's either the board have told him this is the only signing you're gonna have, or it's a simple case of not good recognition of the problems that we are having. So for one thing that just emphasizes how bad our pressing system is with the personnel that we have is the chance. I didn't know the clear-cut chances created against us. The stat. It's a lot, and with the amount of saves that Alisson has made, we still concede 1.29 goals against per 90. No other Alisson season at Liverpool is above 0.97.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. And morale is low. And the Aston Villa win, I felt like, oh, yeah, here we go. Could be onto something. And then just a completely unspectacular festive period afterwards. It's bad.
The games get tough as well.
My problem is that we had a game against Villa, then Leicester, then Brentford, then Wolves. This would be a perfect chance to get a run of wins and start building up some momentum if we're gonna have any chance of getting top four. But no, we get a win against Leicester just because Fast decided to score in the other net. He shouldn't score it.
Leicester are pretty bad as well.
Yeah, are they near the bottom? Leicester? Oh,
I think they've lost
13th.
all three since they come back from the World Cup as well.
They're still 13. That's absurd.
It's 13, really tight. The bottom six or seven is just absurdly tight. Genuinely win a couple of games and you'll probably go up 4 or 5 places. That's interesting. In the table.
And then Brentford, who are now just 2 points behind us. That was really comfortable. Jan Wiese scored a hat-trick off offsides?
Yeah, in the first half.
And then that today against Wolves. I don't know.
Wolves are pretty bad as well. It wasn't a full Wolves team either.
If you're on Spotify, you're not seeing the amount of just shoulder shrugs I'm doing. Oh, I'm talking It blows my mind how far off we fell from last season.
Do you think, when you're looking at the problems Liverpool are having, is there an internal solution to this in terms of maybe a change of system, a change of personnel?
Much. Stop pressing.
Yeah.
Your midfield cannot run. We have so many fixtures going on in the same week. We're playing 3 times a week every single week. since before the World Cup. Your players are old, and they cannot run as much anymore. Yeah, and the alternatives
it's gonna
are
get
Harvey Elliott
congested.
and Fabio Carvalho. Sorry. And with those two being the alternative midfielders to the three that currently play, Henderson, Fabinho, and Thiago, well, just hear that out loud and then like think where the running is. Like there aren't runners, right?
No.
And when Harvey Elliott and short kings, don't get me wrong, like they're short, they're good players. We value them highly in this podcast. At least I do. But they can't play the pressing system that you're trying here. Not when Firmino doesn't play anyway.
Yeah. No, it just seems odd. Like you don't have the profiles of players in midfield to play the system he wants, but then he's stubborn. He just sticks to what he wants to do, but then he doesn't sign anyone. And it just seems messy. It just seems like quite chaotic and. Kind of you're in transition, maybe to playing kind of a slightly different way, but it just isn't working at all with the players you've got there. And
you don't say.
As I said, the games are going to get harder now. You've kind of, if anything, kind of had. I mean, Villa away was a pretty good win, but then Leicester's a pretty easy home game, which he made hard work of, and then lost to Brentford. You got Brighton next. I mean, Brighton are bloody hard to beat. I think you got Newcastle next month. There's a game against Chelsea at Anfield, which obviously is a big game for both sides. And then you've got the two-legged tie against Real Madrid on the horizon as well. So just tough. The games are going to get harder. The squad's going to get more stretched, and it doesn't look like you're going to be adding to it either. So yeah, tough. Doesn't look like it's going to get much easier from here on out.
So the next kind of run of fixtures that we have is Brighton away, Chelsea at home, Wolves away, Premier League. The FA Cup replay is going to be nestled in there at some point. I imagine, I don't know, sometime between January 21st and February 4th. So there's Liverpool, Chelsea, and then Wolves, Liverpool. Maybe sometime then we'll play the replay. I have no idea. Then there's a Merseyside derby, Newcastle away, then Real Madrid.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult.
Tough. Hang on to your hats.
Hang on to our hats. I mean, hopefully we just get a signing out of nothing like we did Gakpo. But I don't know. Should we get into Arsenal for a little bit, Harry?
If you want a bit of positivity before we hammer Chelsea.
Before we go right back down again.
Yep. No, that's good, mate. That's good. Just let George psych himself up for it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, good festive period for us, I'd say. I think the only difficulty is obviously there's still a little bit of imposter syndrome there. So I'm looking at the three games we've had. I'm thinking, we've played Newcastle and Brighton, who are, I think, two of the best, 5 or 6 coach teams in the league. Like, they're tough to play against. So. Yeah. I'm looking at that and thinking 4 points from that, plus obviously the win against West Ham, pretty good return. And looking at all the other teams in the league, it's only Man United and Fulham that have taken maximum points. So, it's a good return from those games. All I would say is when you're up against Man City, and if I'm still entertaining the idea of obviously trying to beat them over a season, it just feels like you have to kind of take every chance you get to, stretch the lead, keep the lead, and because you just know that they're capable of going on a run like basically doing a Man City, because they've done it so often. And you all know more than anyone, Ali, what it's sort of like, where you can get a lead and they can reel you in by just winning game after game. So
yeah,
I'm pretty content. I mean, Newcastle was frustrating, but I don't think they could honestly do that to anyone in Europe. It was just one of those games. I don't think it just had no flow to it. It was a sort of typical third game of the festive schedule vibe to it, where both teams have put a lot into the previous 2 games. It just has absolutely no flow to it. And kind of you add to that they were very, very happy to take a point. I think they basically tried to press us for 10 minutes, realised that they were going to get carved open if they kept doing it, and kind of just sat into this mid 4-5-1 block. and made it difficult, and we didn't have the answers. And that is the only thing I am slightly not critical of. But if I'm sort of like looking at it and thinking, where could we struggle? It's when we need to turn to the bench. There's not enough there at this moment in time that he looks at and thinks, I can trust them to come on and not just make an impact, but like kind of actively not make the team worse. I think had he put any of those players on that he didn't put on, in some way, shape or form, they would have made us less balanced overall. And I think that's the thing you're looking at, come the end of January, that we're probably going to have to address. But it's a good return from those 3 games. I'd have taken 7 points, and it kind of moves us on then to the next couple. And then there's obviously that game against Man City kind of lurking on the horizon, and then that's going to be important, big time. So
yeah, Arsenal. If Arsenal can keep that 11 fit throughout the season, obviously Jesus coming out and Nketiah's been actually really, really effective.
Yeah, he's done well. He's done well.
I think he's always shown the ability. In parts, it's just about that consistency, and I think he does have the right attitude. So yeah, it's I quite like Eddie Nketiah. So it's good to see him do that. Obviously, wish it was not for Arsenal, but one thing that really impresses me about Arsenal, I know you're concerned about that low block. I think every team's concerned about a low block and trying to break it down. I think you switched the ball so well.
Yeah, we're good against them. That was the first time we hadn't scored all season. I don't think it's something. Yeah, sorry. It's you go, I go. No, like you're. Sorry, I will let you finish. It's just I'm not concerned necessarily about playing a low block. It's just that if we need to turn to the bench, that was the first time we've not scored all season in the game. Yeah. So you can't overreact off one game. As I said, I think Newcastle could do that to anyone if they wanted to, and were on it like they were. It's tough, but sorry.
The strongest defense in the league, to say 11 goals against all season. Go ahead.
Yeah,
George.
Yeah, no, sorry.
No, absolutely, and we'll see if they can keep it up with the fitness levels as well. But it's unfortunately looking very, very good for Arsenal at the moment.
On Newcastle, just for a bit, do you think they really make Champions League football? Because I feel like the only reason they are as good as they have been, and I think part of this is when we look relative, like a year from today, I think they were rock bottom. When you look at their actual record, it's 9 wins, 8 draws, 1 defeat. So they don't lose.
Yeah, they got a lot of draws.
Too many draws, possibly. I'm kind of keeping an eye out on that. They're only 2 points behind Tottenham, who say, they're way off form. But I wonder if Man United picked up form really well in the festive period.
And quite quietly as well.
Yeah, I wonder
as much as their fans are sort of trying to entertain the idea of a title race. I think Newcastle, it's are they going to be able to turn more of those draws into wins than losses? So are they going to sort of be able to gamble on games and not end up losing them by a goal and actually start winning them by a goal? Because I think you're right. Kind of if you extrapolate what they're doing over a season, they're on course to draw nearly half of their games, which it's not bad, but if teams carry on as they are, and as you said, they're only just ahead of Spurs, they're now behind. Well, they're in front of Man United. Man United have a game in hand. I think people kind of up to now have been kind of keen to put them as nailed on, and actually they're not by any means. They're playing very well, doing very well with what they've got, and they're similar to Arsenal in the sense that they are stretched. Like if you go outside that first 11, the quality just is not there in terms of what they're bringing off the bench, and even in the 11, it's still not quite where they obviously need to get it to long term to win games on the front foot. So I think it's at the moment, if I'm being totally fair, if you're looking at those, if we think there's going to be 2 Champions League spots up for grabs, you're looking at probably Newcastle, Man United, and then probably Spurs. And if Liverpool can find form, I think Chelsea have left themselves too much to do, which we'll come on to in a second.
Yes,
but it's but one advantage they do have before we sort of finish on Newcastle is they don't have any European football, and so a lot of their game is about physicality and winning duels and sustaining pressure. And if they're able to kind of recover between games, then that's obviously an advantage that they're going to have over teams.
I think with Newcastle, before moving on, I think part of the positivity and the reason why there's a lot of positivity is when you actually watch them play, they are genuinely really effective, and I think they look like they are mildly in control of games. While when I watch teams like Man United and Spurs,
Mhm.
You don't feel that security that you do with Newcastle. Yes, it can be end to end and choppy with Newcastle sometimes, and that's the nature of Premier League football. But there seems to be a sort of a belief within that team that they will get results. And also, as much as the draws are obviously, you can look at it as a negative. Eddie Howe has gone off and apparently he studied with Diego Simeone when he was out of football for quite a while. And he's clearly become more pragmatic when needs be. You look at the Arsenal game, he was far more pragmatic when in the Bournemouth days, he would always have this philosophy of going forward. And I think that's a really important addition to the style. And it's about getting that balance, when should they really push, like Harry said, when are they gonna have to start picking up wins rather than draws, and risking that loss in order to get 2 points rather than one.
Yeah, I feel like he's almost perfecting the play to your team's strengths kind of thing. Because a lot of the group that start now were the same group that were dead last season at this stage. So good for them. Good for them. Let's go right back down again from the positivity. Fergal's coming in, which is a good thing. But we're going to talk about Chelsea. 3, 2, 1. Oh, hi, Fergal.
Hello.
Fergal Piers. Welcome back to another Vote podcast.
I know. Happy New Year, guys.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Likewise, mate.
Happy New Year. How have you been? How's the festive period?
Festive period was all good. Pretty chill. Barely done anything. Ate a lot. Drank a lot.
That's what I do, isn't it? That's what I do.
And I'm doing dry January. So
that's great.
Fun.
Yeah.
I actually done table tennis today. I joined a table tennis club.
You joined a table tennis club?
Yeah.
2024 Olympics, or is that too soon? God, I'm so funny.
I think that's doable. I think it's doable. Where is that one?
That'll be France.
France.
Yeah,
not too
Paris.
far away.
Yeah,
the flights won't be too expensive.
They're...
I think it's within the realms of possibility. I've got a lot to work on, the coach said. All in the hips, apparently not in the wrist, which surprised me.
Just table tennis.
Hips.
Yeah.
Tennis. That's an
not
interesting
much wrist movement.
It's less interesting than break dancing, which is being introduced as an Olympic sport in the Olympics.
Why?
I don't know.
Surely you'd need to bring in ballroom, like before you bring in breakdancing. Although breakdancing is more athletic.
Is dancing a
it's
sport?
More acrobatic.
Anyway.
What dancing is? They have like the floor gymnastic dance and stuff.
Yeah, but gymnastics is like
and in the Winter Olympics they have ice skating, dancing.
Yeah,
and they've synchronized swimming, which that's like that's one of the hardest things you can do is to synchronize swimming.
Yeah,
you've got that horse dancing as well, don't you? The horse, what are they called?
The what? The dressage.
Yeah, dressage. That's it. Yeah.
So what was that impression you done of it there? Like a camp tiger.
Oh, come to the YouTube. Come to the YouTube and see it. That was a cat fight. Hi, Fergal. Chelsea are 10th. Quick note here. This episode was recorded before Man City knocked them out of the FA Cup by a 4-0 scoreline as well. So there's that. But a little bit of context here. It was recorded before that game. Just keep that in mind. Back to the show.
Yeah, he was trying to skirt around it.
Let's just talk about the Olympics.
Yeah.
Very cleverly done there, Fergal.
Yeah.
And excellent work there, Ali. Straight to the point.
It was like whenever you have a sub teacher in. I remember we used to always have a sub teacher, and we used to have this guy, and he used to love a bit of snooker. And as long as you just brought up snooker, you could waste the whole lesson.
Yeah.
And then there was another. No, I'm not gonna.
That's the trouble, Fergal. Now you've clued us in on what you're up to here, so it ends now.
George,
Yeah,
you're not escaping this either.
And, you know, someone who reminds me of a sub teacher at the moment is Graham Potter.
Very cleverly done. Very cleverly done.
But look, I was saying just before we started recording this bit was I listened back to what I said in the summer, and I've got the sort of I said that we would get fourth. I'm not so sure on that now, and that's kind of just like me being a Chelsea fan, always having that bias. But what I actually said about Chelsea was like the feeling just wasn't right about this from the get go.
Yeah.
But in saying that, I'm really excited about the project, but it's just not this season. I like everything about the apart from Aubameyang. I think every signing's been brilliant. And I think it'll maybe not the money, but the personnel we've brought in. I think I like them all.
Can we talk about Benoit Badiashile signing on a 7.5-year deal? Congratulations, Fergal. You've signed the greatest football manager player of all time.
Yeah,
that's a massive thing. That's a massive.
You got the bad
thing.
Man.
You got the bad man. You got the who else did you sign? Darren Fofana, another FM superstar.
I
don't even remember him,
isn't it?
That's 7. That's 7 or 8.5
years.
No,
6. No, I think it's 6. I think it's 6 with the option for 7. That one. Yeah, it's 2029.
Talks about Marcus Thuram, who I think is going to be, if you sign him, would be a hit. Marcus Thuram, I think any of the top 6 in Premier League should sign him, and he would fit them one way or another.
I don't know if it makes
great
much
transfer so far.
Like it doesn't make much sense. It's like buy one or other. Your man Fofana. I have no clue about this Fofana guy. I know of the name Badiashile, from Football Manager and being talked about and being linked with us. I would have preferred Gavardio, but
way more expensive though.
Way more expensive, and we need to wait to the summer, and also we've got Colwell, which is doing quite well at Brighton. To fill that left spot, but I think there's still space for Colwell to come back because, as we've seen, like we do need the numbers. But yeah, Chelsea are like we're just in like this transition phase. Like the biggest point I made back in the preview we done was like just how many players could have left in the summer, and it's just not good for a dressing room atmosphere, and we've been playing like shite for ages. So all of this is sort of come into one, and then we're just missing like a really solid spine of a team, and then we've been hit by injuries, and we're too dependent on some players, and too dependent on players that aren't good enough to be dependent on, and so like we're in a really awkward spot, like. And there's not too many positions on the pitch where you're like, I'm happy with that position entirely, and we don't need to improve there. And like people will throw the amount of money that's been spent. I think most of the money that was spent, Cucurella is definitely overpriced. The other ones, I don't think we've done too badly for the price. I can't remember how much. Aubameyang, I can't remember. We did pay it because we have bought him, haven't we?
It's about 10 mil, isn't it? I think
10 mil. That like it's kind of like a sort of it makes sense the sort of price, but you kind of wish we had got him for free. But and I hope he goes very soon. But we're just in this transition phase. We can't really afford to be. We do need to make Champions League. But I'm excited about the project going forward. Like I think that everything the owners are doing, and all the stuff being done in the background, it's laying the foundations for an exciting club going forward. Signing loads of young talent, maybe too much, and you're like, are all these players going to fit in? I know Webster and June Sapel, who are like two of the more exciting youngsters coming through. I don't think they're going to be staying, but maybe they're probably not as good as the youngsters that we're signing, and they're going to be moved on. But with Chelsea fans, you just have to be patient, and like that's not like Chelsea doesn't do this, but it's a new ownership, and if we do this right, we'll set ourselves up for 5 years of challenging for the title. Whereas before it was like you sort of go into each season, we could challenge for the title, maybe. We are challenging for the title. Oh, we've won this one, and then fall off a cliff the next season. Then it's we've somehow made it into the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Can we do something there? And maybe we do, maybe we don't. It was never consistent, and it was kind of the culture of it. And then you've got all the turnover of managers and bringing their own players in, and it's left us with this unbalanced mismatch of a team.
The Athletic,
and that's where we are.
The Athletics did say about just to respond about the managers bringing their own players in. There was a really funny thing on the Athletic where the story was that Tuchel, when you brought in Denis Zakaria, I'm a massive fan of Zakaria's involvement with Chelsea so far.
Yeah, he's been brilliant.
But the story goes that when Tuchel met him for the first time after he signed, he kind of struggled for a few seconds to put a face to the name because he didn't want to sign him, and he's just like brought in. So it maybe is look, the high turnover of managers will have definitely played a factor, and but what I would say is, what's the influence of the manager, Thomas Tuchel in that case, on the team building? And I always say, like, if you're a manager at a football club, you are absolutely entitled to have a say, the main decision on every transfer made. I think the football club that wants to be successful operates this way, because
I don't think Chelsea should. The way Chelsea will run, I don't think, because the Chelsea managers don't last. There's no point having the main say of transfers if you're not building towards that man. If you want to build towards that, if you believe in a manager and want to build towards their image and their ideas, absolutely they should have the main say. But at Chelsea, it wasn't working like that, so they shouldn't have the main say. But then there was no one really that had a vision to build, and that's why we're in the position that we are.
You know why?
And it was only because we have loads of money and we can always buy ourselves out of it. And Granit was quite good at getting value for players that were sold.
Yeah, but I would say it's because managers, play a certain way and want to have the personnel to be able to play their certain way, and then the signings that are made don't fit that, and then the results go stale for a bit, and then get sacked. Manager gets sacked, another one comes in, and the same story goes on. That's probably the main reason why Chelsea have had so many managers over the last 10-15 years.
Having said that, Ali, I think specifically in the Zakaria example, it was very clear that Tuchel was going to be sacked even if we were top of the league in the summer. So in regards to it not being his signing, I don't think that reflects on sort of the general running of the team now.
Yeah, I'm just guessing.
Because I think they will give more. I think they will give Potter a little bit more onus moving forward. I'm surprised Fergal's been overwhelmingly positive. It's good. It's nice to hear. But I think we do need a reality check. One, we're going in for Enzo Fernandez for too much money. First off, for a player I believe unproven. And on that as well, position I would say is saturated within our team anyway, and not of desperate need to be improvement. We don't seem to be.
I think you're totally wrong about that. I think it's the one. I think that spine of the team is needing a good holding midfielder.
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
absolutely.
I don't agree with you. I think Zakaria is fit for purpose.
Someone other than Zakaria don't need to just.
Zakaria is good for the moment. I don't know if I'd sign him permanently.
Well, on top of that, we've got Jorginho, we've got obviously
Yeah,
Kante.
exactly. We have Jorginho. Who wants Jorginho? I want rid of him. He's part of the problem. We haven't got a good whole midfielder. We've got Zakaria. We have him on loan. He's doing well at the moment. I'd like to see that go on a bit longer because Juventus weren't that fussed with him. We got him because he was like he was in the bargain section of the transfer market. You know, we got him in on a deal. Let's see how he goes. But like we definitely need a holding midfielder. Like that whole way through that spine, we need a better goalkeeper. I'm hoping this Selena guy is good in a couple of years. We need a good centre back now. It looks like that's solved. Between Fofana and Badiashile, that looks like with time that'll be really good. We need a holding midfielder because we haven't got a good one. Zakaria, I'll wait and see. He could be good. He might not be. And we need a striker.
Kante's still in.
I
can't rely on Kante. We can't rely on Kante.
No, Kante's not a holding midfielder. I don't think you can
rely on Kante.
No,
but I also think like when I look at the table and then just look at Chelsea generally this season, the one thing that you can't ignore is 20 goals in 17 games.
Exactly what I was going to say.
And when he's saying about his centre mid not being a priority, when you're talking about spending, the best part of 100 billion on a player now, if you said to me, what position should they be putting that towards? And I know it's not easy with forwards. There's maybe not good value to be had in the forward market at the moment. But that's the position for me at the moment for Chelsea. They need to score more goals. And I don't know if it's through adding a forward or adding a creator, but they just don't threaten enough and don't look like they've got enough solutions to score 2-3 goals every game.
Yeah, 100%. That's where I was sort of leading myself as well. That is, you look at the, I think the, obviously the Nottingham Forest game, our possession and our passing to shots on target. I think we had 2 shots on target. Yeah, we had 2 shots on target from 73% possession.
That is wild.
Great. That is absolutely just crazy.
The first half as well, it was like 80% possession, and you just didn't threaten after scoring at all.
Absolutely. And what really worries me with Potter, I really like Potter and I like the direction. What really worries me is the insistence that Havertz is a 9. Like it's so
well because
clear.
you don't have a 9 apart from Aubameyang, so he's just trying to do something.
Yeah.
Who else are you going to play there?
Yeah,
Lukaku next year, obviously. He's going to be key. He's going to be absolutely
key. Lukaku's still Chelsea.
He's still technically on our books.
He's absolutely key for the squad next year.
He said he doesn't want to come back though, didn't he? Recently,
yeah,
he did.
Chelsea needs to find a solution.
Inter for me is everything, he said.
Yeah, there you go. He was due an interview. It's about his time of the year, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, it actually was released on the same day as the other one.
Yeah.
I would also argue Broja is better than Havertz.
Yeah. That was a bad injury. I was a bit unlucky with that.
Obviously he's injured now. Well, I mean, our injury.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, cut Graham Potter some slack. He's got no other options at the moment.
Can I read you the injury list and then what the substitute bench was against Man City the other night? So you got Wesley Fofana's injured until mid-January. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is out for a few weeks. Reece James is out till late January. N'Golo Kante's out till late February. Mason Mount until mid-January. Edouard Mendy apparently has a few days to go. Ben Chilwell out for a few weeks.
He's got his finger, isn't he, Mendy?
They're saying shoulder on foot mob. So
yeah, I think there was there was a report today he dislocated his finger. Anyway,
and then Armando Broja is out until August. And then the bench, as a result, was Aubameyang, Chukwuemeka, Omari Hutchinson, Premier League debut. Congratulations. Lewis Hall, Conor Gallagher, Jorginho, Bashir Humphries, Trevor Chalobah, and Marcus Bettinelli. Yeah, it's thin.
But you say that, but the players that came on over Ziyech and Pulisic, and even Cucurella. So obviously Lewis Hall coming in left back, Hutchison. I'm going to butcher Chukwuemeka. I'm not going to say.
Carney. There you go.
They were all better. And I genuinely believe there's players in that squad that are taking liberties, and Pulisic and Ziyech are 2 of those players in terms of chance creation as well. I know Havertz. I mean, I don't like him as a number 9, but I understand his value. Ziyech and Pulisic, I really don't see their value in this squad, or at least they're not showing it to me. And I'd much rather Amari Hutchinson play if he plays on the form that he did when he came on against City.
He wasn't that good.
No, I
He
thought
was-
Hutchinson was poor. He needs a loan, in my opinion. He didn't win a single
I thought
goal.
he looked exciting. Like there's something there, but he didn't have a good game.
he was
Nah, he
I
needs
get
to
your
beef
point.
up.
Like, you'd
He was
rather
better than
see him
Ziyech.
being given the time over someone like Ziyech, because
Yeah.
Ziyech has felt for like a season and a half at least that his time at Chelsea's done, and it's just a matter of time before he's off somewhere else. So like he could go in this. If Chelsea were smart, they should sell him this January whenever he's coming off the World Cup. And don't play him too many times to make him look bad, but let his value drop. Like,
Further
like,
down the table.
I do get the thing with Amari Hutchinson, but like, and Lewis Hall looked good, but then his end ball was bad. But
Yeah.
but he has looked good at any time I've seen him. I give him a go happily. And Chukwuemeka was I read what they were calling him. I can't remember what they were called. The Chelsea players were apparently calling him a nickname on the pitch, and I can't remember what it was, but it was quite funny.
Who's that?
There's a nickname for Chukwuemeka that the Chelsea players were calling him, and somebody heard it, and I was on Twitter. I can't remember what it was though, but it was funny.
Chukwuemeka.
Chucky. Chuckster.
It might have been Chucky or no, I can't. Chewy. Maybe
Chewy?
it was Chewy.
That doesn't work.
Maybe. It was on Twitter anyway. I can't
It's the
remember what it was,
perfect
but
opportunity to call someone Chuck. Chuck's a great nickname. Just call him Chuck.
I think he was initially called Carnes. I think was the nickname.
Really?
Which is very, very footballer nickname. Like you can tell that was given by a footballer.
Yeah.
Like just
Yeah.
it's pure laziness.
Didn't expect that
No
to be the
thought went
reason.
into that at all. But yeah, they but Chelsea, I think we're like, I like what we're building towards. We definitely need a holding midfielder. I get the point that it's not the top of the priority list, but when you've got the opportunity to sign the most promising player in that position, and he is going to fit into a system, you're not just signing him for the sake of signing the best young player out of the World Cup. Like, it does make sense to sign him. I understand why we're taking that opportunity to buy him now ahead of other people. And don't worry about the money, George, because it it's not your money. Like, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous, but what does it matter? Does it really matter at this point? It's just like just put as many amount of zeros you want on the end of it. It is a ridiculous amount of money. It's what Benfica are asking for. It will mean that we will get robbed for every transfer window going forward because we're gonna pay this now. But let them worry about that, not us. And I think he has the potential to pay that back if he lives up to his potential and stayed at Chelsea for the length of the contract of 7 years or whatever. That he will definitely, if we're paying 100 million, he's definitely signing a long contract.
Has a £100 million player ever paid their way back? I don't think so.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Good question.
I absolutely agree. Apart from, well, I don't know.
Usman Dembele, Coutinho,
João Felix,
João Felix,
Lukaku, João Felix,
Neymar hasn't really because they haven't won the Champions League.
I'd say
Hazard.
Yeah, I wrote on Twitter.
Neymar
actually,
was 200.
222.
He
Yeah.
was,
I wrote on Twitter the other day that like the level of like 100 million pound transfers will never hit. Like, it will be just about good enough. Or
You're telling me Anthony isn't going to be a hit then?
Is
that what you're saying?
No. It's impossible to have a absolutely successful transfer for a 100 million pound deal.
There's
in
only
my
two
opinion.
players, Mbappe and and Haaland.
Mbappe, yeah. Haaland didn't reach
Haaland
100 million. Wasn't anywhere near
No,
100 million.
I think he would be. I think he would.
Oh, if
justify
he
it.
used to be bought.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Mbappe is the absolute
Special.
best player of this generation, I think. Like, Mbappe versus Haaland is the thing, but I side with Mbappe.
Just
I think he should
give
leave
Gil more
PSG.
time. Give Gil more time.
I'll give him more time. But my point is, it's almost impossible.
Give Evan
to,
Ferguson time.
Evan Ferguson, yeah, Evan Ferguson.
Now, if Chelsea were getting linked to Evan Ferguson now we're talking.
Oh yeah,
Like, a big striker, good with his feet. Let's just keep those connections with Brighton nice and see if we can get him in at some point.
yes. All right. What else happened? It's been fairly normal because Everton have just lost every game. David De Gea made a few errors.
No, they did get a draw against Man
Southampton
City.
just
To be
lost
fair.
loads. Yeah, he did. And I don't know. Wolves are 19th, even with Julian Lopetegui managing.
I think
them.
you've got to.
The only win they've had since October 15th against Forest, which was 1-0, is against Everton, which is
Have you
2-1.
talked about Brighton yet? Because
No,
I've been watching because Evan Ferguson's been starting, but like they're great to watch, and they're just like the way they play out from the back, they make it look so easy. Like
They're
between
very patient.
but it just looks so easy for them to. I forget what was the last game in the Premier League they played
Everton.
4-1.
against Everton, and they just carved them open right through the middle of the pit. But like they're really really good, and like the Casados looks brilliant, and who's the other midfielder for them?
McAllister.
No, it wasn't McAllister in that game.
Matoma, maybe, or he's
No, he's centre. I'll look it up. But anyway, they were
yeah, he's good.
Mid, it was Casado and Gross, Pascal Gross.
Yeah,
The two of them were taking turns at being the one in the dropping in between the two centre backs to make that triangle, and it was so simple, but they were just like one would drop in, then the other, then they'd be marked, and the other one drop in then, and then there was somebody dropping in to make it a 4 midfield and overload it. It was like brilliant to watch, and they were just like really, really direct and vertical. They're great.
De Zerbi, baby. De Zerbi. And it will
they
continue
take
to
risks.
succeed. And if De Zerbi's there long enough, they will make the Champions League. Remember Rob Turner? Remember the originator of this podcast? And he made a YouTube video once about how Brighton.
Founding father.
Founding father. Just another full podcast. Currently in Australia, down under. Bless him. Hope he's well. Remember when he made a YouTube video about how Brighton could qualify for the Champions League by, was it 2024? It could happen. Could happen.
They're good. They are good. Like as Fergal said, they're very good at playing out from the back. But you say they're vertical. They are, but they kind of wait for you to press them. Like they're very happy. And I noticed that when we played them, like we didn't press them, because if you do press them, they're just going to play 1, 2, 3 passes and they're at your back line.
Yeah.
Very patient, and then, as you say, very vertical, and they want to be in. I think, we've been saying it for a few years now, like, you stick a proper striker in that team, and, Danny Welbeck's good, but you can't sort it out with Evan Fergal. Yeah, maybe. 2 and 2.
Yeah.
2 and 2. I mean,
he's got more goal contributions than Ronaldo, and he's got the same amount as Jack Grealish. Sorry, Jack Grealish, because he got the assist, but before the game against Chelsea, he had the same as Jack Grealish, but he's now got one less.
Speaking of Ronaldo, he has a job.
Yeah, he's employed.
He was unemployed.
We can no longer hold that over him.
Yeah. No
What a
longer do
shame.
it. Yeah, he's employed in Saudi Arabia. It does feel weird that
were you there whenever it was announced, Ali?
Well, I was in Jeddah, but he plays in Riyadh, which is like in the middle of Saudi Arabia. I was on the seashore, Red Sea, so it was it didn't have any impact on the city. I don't know. I just felt nothing.
There wasn't like big coverage of it or anything like that.
There was. There absolutely was. And we watched the announcement on TV, and it felt really weird because you think that we are not going to watch Cristiano Ronaldo play in Europe again. This is strange. But the coverage is absolutely massive. I liked the ceremony because it wasn't gigantic. It was enough, and it was raucous, and it was a great atmosphere, but it was short and like an hour long and to the point. It wasn't overly done. One of my fears of Ronaldo going over to Saudi Arabia is like everyone like just holding him up on this pedestal and it reflecting weirdly. Being an Arab, I had that feeling of, okay, let's not make ourselves look small here. But it was fine, and he's yet to make his debut. There was like a game called off because of rain, and there was like I think the Telegraph or someone, the Daily Mirror, someone said he's still serving a suspension, which is weird because he's playing in Saudi Arabia now. What's he got to do with the suspension in England by the FA? That was that cell phone incident with an Everton fan, I believe. Yeah, but he's gonna make his debut soon enough.
I heard about that. And I think that do they have to lose one of their foreign players?
It was
Vincent
Abu
Abubakar's contract has been terminated.
Brutal.
It's
they would have been a great
pairing
front two.
Yeah.
It's reckless. It's so reckless.
I don't even want to think what his salary would be.
Ronaldo's? You don't have to think. You just have to look it up and see that it's like 1/3 more than the highest paid player. Next one, which is Mbappe, I think. Yeah.
I think he's earning like £6 a second or something. Ronaldo.
Yeah. That's right. £6 or €6, something like that. It's a 6 of a expensive currency.
There's a conspiracy theory that says that he's going to get loaned out to Newcastle.
No, it's not true.
Yeah,
I know.
Eddie Howe turned it down, didn't they?
Yeah.
But maybe in the summer, Newcastle's.
I can see him going out there and enjoying the money, enjoying the sun, enjoying the acclaim of the locals, and then it all settles down. And he has a craving for the big time again.
Yeah, 100%.
I think what is he? 37.
Yeah, going on 38 in February.
38 at the end of the season.
In February. So this will take him till he's 40, will it?
Yeah.
Or maybe he would retire there then.
Famously,
I have a feeling
and Neymar's birthday's on the same day. Carry on, Fergal. Sorry.
I have a feeling he might come back. To somewhere. And
it's got to be Newcastle, isn't it? Just Saudi owned for a Saudi club.
I don't know if they'd. I don't know. I think they're smarter than to take him. Like, I think they've shown that. Like signing someone like Guimaraes and not selling Joe Linton and turning him into a good player. I think they've shown like that. There's something else there. Speaking of Joe Linton, I think I made a good comparison in my head, bringing it back to Chelsea very quickly. Havertz is like a posh Joe Linton. Like he's not quite. You don't know where he's gonna fit in quite. He doesn't quite fit right there. Anyway. But I thought. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, he might sort out a CDM issue. Yeah, we'll convert him to a CDM.
Yeah,
he's not the same profile player, but similar sort of problem. You sort of put him somewhere where he looks right, but then he doesn't play right there. You need to shift him somewhere else.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, he's gonna be at box to box soon. I want to close on probably the biggest event in United States soccer since not qualifying in 2018. And I do need to open this up because it's frustrating, and I just want to hear and
I
neutral
can't wait
perspective
for
on it.
the drama of this to come out. It's going to be up there with the Colleen Rooney
Colleen.
and Rebecca Vardy drama. This
Agatha
is like this puts Desperate Housewives to shame. This drama, it's so juicy.
For the
100%
neutrals,
Netflix.
it would.
Yeah.
Netflix would be a glorious
Like
Netflix watch.
a mini
for the neutral.
series, like 3-hour-long episodes. Creme de creme. It sounds brilliant.
Yeah. So let's go over the story real quickly. It blows my mind. All right. So the World Cup just happened. Gio Reyna didn't get a lot of playing time. Right. Gio Reyna is the son of Claudio Reyna, who is Greg Berhalter's friend for a long time, for decades. And like both Berhalter's family and Gio and Claudio Reyna's family were kind of close for a long time, and their wives were roommates and whatever. So it starts when Gio Reyna goes to the camp, and the night before the World Cup, he's told, you're not going to have a lot of playing time. He sulks, he doesn't train well, his teammates don't like it, manager doesn't like it, they have a vote, and Gio Reyna wins to stay by 13-12. So the vote was, should Gio Reyna just get shipped off back to Germany? Right? And the vote was...
That's a terrible...
It's so American.
That's a terrible judge by the manager to divide the room on purpose.
It's
By bringing
unbelievable.
it to a vote. With that sort of call, if you know there's like a split opinion, you either do it or you have
Or
to
you
make
don't.
a call either to keep him or
Yeah.
let it go. You don't put it to a vote. That splits
No.
the room.
It's divisive, yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is this
I mean,
is the least that happened. This is the least dramatic thing
Yeah,
that
we're
happened.
just
getting
All of this by a
started.
mile.
Just getting started.
It gets spicier and spicier. You just wait.
I should add
So, go
that
on.
it is a bit ironic as sort of Brits, if you want to call Fergal that kind of.
No, you don't want to call me that.
UK and Ireland. No, you don't want to call. Yeah, you absolutely do not want to call Fergal a Brit.
Us that reside in the United Kingdom. Again,
And Ireland.
And on split votes, that is a little bit ironic. But move on. Ali.
Well, we all agree that was a terrible decision. So
Yeah,
we're not saying that was good.
The Netherlands game, the Wales game happens. Positive game. We know obviously nothing about this so far. Great game. And we draw 1-1. We consider ourselves unlucky not to win. And the penalty at the end is just one defensive mistake, and Bale scores it, whatever. Okay, let's move on to the next game. It's good. And we draw the next game 0-0. But the problem was, after the Wales game, Berhalter said that Reyna was injured. Reyna says he's absolutely fine. But then we're like, okay, well, there's sports science stuff behind this and specialists and, you're allowed to play 60 minutes, whatever. Maybe it's a case of he's not fit to play the whole game. We start a starting 11. It goes well. There's no need for Reyna. Fine. The rest of the group stage happens. Good all in all group stage. You draw the England game, of course, and then win the Iran game. But Gio Reyna still not playing, and we're not creating many chances. And Gio Reyna is our best attacking talent, arguably. He's just not getting any game time. Fine. We got past the group stage. It's working, but we got to see more of Reyna in the Netherlands game. We do for half, because the first half was dire. But we end up losing 3-1 and going out pretty unspectacularly. And then shortly after the World Cup final, I want to say, there's like this conference, this leadership conference that Greg Berhalter is part of. And he tells the story about this whole vote thing and sulking in training. And because journalism exists, it's pretty easy for them to make the calls and reach out to connections. And straight away, like 30 minutes after the article comes out about this conference, it was Gio Reyna. And then Gio Reyna comes out with a statement addressing it the next day. And from that point onwards, it was like, okay, well, Gio Reyna didn't handle this well. Greg Berhalter was wrong to let it out in a conference when he shouldn't have. It's internal stuff. We all, like most US fans, would like to see the next phase now, like post Berhalter anyway. Like, he did well to build a squad. Now we need a better manager to carry them forward and carry out tactics, really, because Berhalter is good at preparing games, but in-game management is not the best. But fine, like, the US men's national team is a non-topic now. Like, it's all done. And Berhalter's contract expires then on the 31st of December. And nothing comes out. Whether Berhalter's continuing, whether he's not, whether there will be an extension for how long. Are there any candidates? Are they interviewing people? Nothing at all. And it's really strange. And then just a few days ago, Greg Berhalter comes out with a statement, seemingly unprompted because there was nothing reported about this at all, addressing a domestic violence situation with his now wife when they were boyfriend and girlfriend at age 18. I want to say in 1991, outside of a bar, in a drunken argument. And then the USSF come out with a statement that's even weirder and just says nothing and leaves us all confused. Again, journalism does its thing and time does its thing, and it turns out that Gio Reyna's parents reported the incident to USSF as a response to him not playing Gio Reyna and saying the stuff they said about him in that leadership conference. So now we have a manager that's cancelled, out of contract, who wants to continue, but US Soccer have no idea what to do. His assistant is now the one that's going to take the camp in January. We always have a January camp. We get like new faces in and try them out. January camp is gonna be taken by the assistant manager, the worst manager in Colorado Rapids history, 39% win rate before taking the assistant manager role with the United States.
It wasn't good at Middlesbrough. I wouldn't worry about that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And it's just it's so now all of the momentum from the World Cup is from largely okay performances, good encouraging signs. That is gone. Reyna situation, USSF have said, United States Soccer Federation. Just in case you needed to know what the USSF are. No issues with
Gio
Reyna.
Reyna. Than American.
Oh.
USSF. It's very close to USSR.
Yeah. What the USSF are. Oh God. Okay. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, good catch. They say Gio Reyna has no problems going forward, but like now when Gio Reyna goes to camp with Greg, how does it work again?
Well, he's not going to camp with Greg, though, is he?
Well, he should be if USSF say
the Reyna dynasty is won. It's it's
I don't know.
They've got the man out.
Well, Greg Berhalter says he wants to continue, and USF haven't made a decision, so he might as well continue.
He might still be in.
He might still be in.
His position's completely untenable.
Who's his? Greg's. Okay.
Yeah, Greg's. He can't continue.
I agree.
I mean, if they
why? Because of what happened in 91.
No, not because of that, but because of the situation with Reyna. You either choose Greg Berhalter, who's not. I mean, he's okay, but he's not world class, or you choose
potentially
Gio
really good player,
potentially one of the wonder kids of this generation. It's a no brainer, and look, it's obviously awful about these sort of allegations, and the person who loses the most is obviously his wife. Whether she wanted these allegations to come out or not. And whatnot.
Pretty sure she wouldn't.
Really is terrible, yeah. But I mean, I don't know. It just seems to me a fairly obvious decision of they do have to get rid of him.
Well,
fortunately,
if they were umming and ahhing before,
to send to him, but I it's the most petty thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
and
God.
especially if you're meant to be like mates that go back years, and you've that level of betrayal that they bring up something that was personal
30 years
and
ago.
and dealt with at the time, and they're happily married now, and like it's a one-off thing with drink involved. It's like what a way to betray a friendship. It's horrendous.
Just because
you
your
could say that.
son didn't get minutes in the World
Well,
Cup,
And he's young.
and he's
he
20
will.
years old. He's 20. He's not even 20, I don't think.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's one thing to there's one, if he had come out and said, done a press statement, and done a, there was no reason why he wasn't getting played. It was the manager's decision not to play him. Reyna was ready to play. Come out and say something like that, but to go and do this sneaky little thing behind the back is just it's dreadful, and that's not going to help Reyna now, because now
Absolutely.
anytime Reyna has a Rabiot's been tarnished by his mother's actions, and now that affects any transfers Rabiot's involved with, because you've got the mother to deal with. This won't help Reyna if he's going to move on from Dortmund either. Having these high profile parents that might dig up some dirt about you and tell somebody important about it. It's horrendous decision making from them.
I do think in terms of it's interesting the statement that she made, which she basically said. She went on to say it was unfair that people were trashing her 20-year-old son when Berhalter had done something much worse at a similar age, and obviously then went on to say what he'd done. I think, although that's awful, and again, to trash a friendship and also that sort of relationship is short-sighted and very emotional. It's clearly affected the Reyna family, how much the media had and also Greg Berhalter came down on him at such a young age. So there is something to be said of how badly he handled the situation in terms of Reyna from the start. And that doesn't justify what has happened now. But
the other thing is, though,
there's
Reyna was a footballer. He knows what sort of stuff gets said in the media. So
Yeah.
he knows the sort of criticism players get. To be so thin-skinned about this is ridiculous.
But he's not done it. He was actually, in terms of his statement, he was very apologetic about not training particularly well. He said he'd sorted out with the manager.
Yep.
So, we're not talking about necessarily a footballer with thin skin. It's actually their family, and we do.
No, but that's what I meant. I mean, his father. His father was a footballer, and his mother was the wife of a footballer for 30 years.
I believe she was a footballer as well, but
was she? Even
yeah,
then she the two of them should know the criticisms that come with the game.
But
I really don't think there's any excuses for that whatsoever. And your man could have handled the situation better and played one of the more exciting attacking players. But then if he's given you no reason to it sounds like Gio Reyna is quite thin-skinned as well. And he was told he wasn't going to get game time, and then just didn't bother.
But what I'm saying, Fergal, is I agree with you, by the way, and I think it's pretty disgraceful what's happened. But it is. These are people we're talking about. It's imagine a ton of media coming down on your son. It's very emotional. Look. Again, it doesn't justify what happened, but it's understandable. It's human. It's very emotional. It's clearly very heavily charged.
I think it's less understandable with the experience they have if they're both athletes.
But
the thing is, just to clarify one thing, I don't think the media came down on Gio Reyna that much. During the World Cup, we didn't know about all the stuff that happened with Reyna. That came out after. The media and the fan base was unanimous in kind of questioning why Gio Reyna wasn't playing much. But we're trying to make the theories work of it's working now, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess. But at least give him some minutes when we're struggling to create chances. It was afterwards when when Berhalter said what he said about Reyna at the conference, the media actually sided for Gio Reyna because it's Greg saying something about Reyna that was already resolved. And for Greg Berhalter to come out and say that was unfair on Gio because it was something that was hidden from the media, didn't need to come out, and it was just resolved, and now it doesn't do Gio any good.
No, I agree.
So,
I agree.
The media didn't come down on Gio Reyna whatsoever at that period.
It's a lose-lose situation here, isn't it, for everyone?
For everyone. Like, nobody wins.
US soccer, it's pretty terrible in general.
Nobody wins. I don't know. We'll see. There obviously will be more storylines, I feel like. Evolutions from all this, and aftermath. I feel like someone like the Scuffed podcast, who have a lot more insider information about US soccer in general, is one podcast I would suggest everyone to go listen to. I haven't had the chance to listen to their episode about that yet, but I think they'll have more information about this than we ever would. So yeah, go give that a listen if you want to hear more about this, because my God, this is the worst thing that has happened to us since not qualifying in 2018. And yeah, we'll see what happens post January camp. Taken by the worst manager in Colorado Rapids history.
It could be up there with like Saipan and Ireland for one of the most tense locker room atmospheres you could be a part of. Like,
yeah, we need a documentary, man.
Amazon Prime need a deal very quick, just straight in there.
You would be surprised if there aren't any talks already.
Nothing or nothing. The US men's national team.
Nothing or nothing. On that note, all right. Thanks for bearing with me while I rant again. But this is different. I had to talk about it. Sadly, because it's significant. So, yeah, here we are. It's the end of this week's Just Another Full podcast. Everything being well, hopefully we'll from now on. Now the festive period is over. We'll see you a bunch of times over the next few weeks, as normal, as was the first half of the season. So, yeah.
Did we do a short King of the Week? Have you done that?
Oh, it's a short King of Christmas, really, isn't
short
it?
King of Christmas. Karu Mitoma, right?
Matoma. I was just gonna say Matoma's one that springs to mind. Anybody else?
You put us on the spot here now.
Yeah, it's a great shout.
Well, I thought, guys, we do this every week.
I know, but we come prepared usually.
We haven't done this every week since the start of the World Cup, Fergal.
I think I don't like him because he used to play for Spurs, but I think Trippier is a good shout. I mean, he's just unbelievably consistent for Newcastle. 3 clean sheets. I thought he was really good in that game against us, but
I feel like this needs a check. Kieran Trippier.
He's very short, mate. I don't know if it's just because their entire backline is absolute man mountains, but he's definitely not tall.
He's 5'10".
Oh, well, I'm full of shit then.
Yeah.
Is Matoma definitely short?
Karu he can't be 5'10". He does not look 5'10".
Karu Mitoma is 5'10". He's just really slim.
Oh, there we go. Well,
Mitoma's not. Oh God. We're in a state.
We need to set up a website to actually track.
We do, because I think Shaw's height in Football Manager was wrong for quite a long time.
Yeah,
really was it?
There's a business there. There's an opportunity.
Well, if the podcast
all we need is a car and a measuring tape.
Just go around to them
and just go around all the Premier League teams and measure them up. And we'll have a measuring tape that only goes up to 5'9".
Yeah,
and it'd be like the opposite of a theme park ride thing. You get players to stand beside it, and if this and you're like, no, you're too tall, go away.
Oh God. Okay. Well. Okay, let's go for Kieran Trippier then. 5'6", 7, Kieran Trippier. According to the transfer market, this is short king of
We're
the holidays.
definitely gonna find out he's taller, but
Yeah,
we'll do like what the Irish do whenever somebody's successful, like Barack Obama, and we'll go and claim them as a short person, or in that case it was an Irish person, but in this case we'll claim them as a short person. You know, he used to be short whenever he's a kid, and so we're gonna claim him.
He is shorter than average, and he was a king. That technically counts. All right, Kieran Trippier, congratulations. The holidays, just on the full podcast, short king of the week on a technicality, because we were not prepared.
I'm sure.
Asterisk aside.
Asterisk. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for watching this week. If you're still watching, what a legend you are. If you're still watching at this point, God, or listening, or even just have it on in the background. Wow. All right. That was an episode. What do they call a long podcast? A bumper edition, just a full podcast for the holidays. There you go. All right. Thanks, everyone. Good to have a full house with us. Hopefully we get back together maybe this time next week. Maybe some other time next week. We'll see. All right. Thanks, gentlemen.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Bye.